Welcome to the 2022 Employee Wellness Summit. Today is National Mindfulness Day, so I hope that this is an opportunity for each of us to celebrate together collectively. We have a phenomenal agenda today. I'm going to share that with you first in the chat. So if you like, you can take these two note pages, go ahead and print it out if you like, or just reference it as we go along. It gives you the names of all of our wellness thought leaders, as well as the titles of their talks. And you will notice there's a little square to the left of their talk, the title of their talk. And so what we ask for you to do there is, if you feel the synergy, if you want to connect with this wellness thought leader, to go ahead and put a check mark next to their the title of their talk. And so we also want you to go ahead and write in any notes that you might want to ask during the Q&A section, because this is 100% live. Everyone is here in real time, and there will be ample opportunities for you to ask questions and for them to be answered by our thought leaders. At the end of our summit, we'll be concluding with that networking session where you'll be able to have conversations with each of our thought leaders, asking them about their workshops and their speaking engagement opportunities, all sorts of things. So without further ado, I'd love to explain to you what we're going to be spending time on together today. So I am Melissa. I'm the founder and CEO of My Retreat. I help companies with team building to slow down, schedule self-care, and achieve wellness, to decrease stress in the workplace and increase mindfulness there as well. So we are honored to be hosting the folks that you'll see there in the notes section. And I'm going to go ahead and review those with everyone. In case there are any questions, please let us know that you can hear us well, that there aren't any difficulties or questions that you have lingering before we jump right into our keynote with Jenna. So we are going to begin with intention wellness tools. We will start with strategies to address stress and burnout in the workplace with Jenna. Then we'll move into body wellness tools for our second hour of the summit. If you're in Eastern time, that's from 4 to 5 p.m. That'll be with Amy Goober, the Be Healthier Working from Home presentation, followed by Slay Stress with this one small thing with Beth, Auguste, and Emotional Freedom Technique with Lauren Fonville. That's from 4 until 5. As a reminder, we will absolutely be taking bio breaks, so make sure that you take care of what you need to take care of during that time, or of course, any other time during the summit. Then from 5 until 6 p.m., we will be doing a chocolate mindfulness retreat, and that's where we ask for you to bring your own chocolate. We'll have some of our phenomenal chocolate mindfulness sponsors sharing a bit about what makes their chocolate incredible. And we'll be announcing all of the grand prize giveaway items. Then, if you don't already have that add-on ticket for $5, feel free to go ahead and purchase that so you can be in the running for that grand prize. But every single person who has one of those add-on tickets will get a mindful fitness class from Spark This Day, which is going to be our first presenter. Then we will be moving into the gratitude wellness tools from, then we'll be moving into mindfulness wellness tools from 6 until 7 p.m. We'll be meeting with Trista Sanford, the practice of mindfulness. Then Leah Pinelli with imperfect mindful eating. And concluding that section with Alexis Russel, human beings versus human doings. and then we will proceed into the gratitude wellness tools, starting with Dr. Celestin, who will be talking about planting seeds of self-care, Aralma Pozo, being well as you excel, and Dr. Charmaine Jackman, managing racial trauma in the workplace. And again, we'll be concluding with that networking session with connecting with our wellness thought leaders, opportunities for business-to-business collaboration, as well as announcing our grand prize giveaway winner. So with that, I thank you all for joining us, and we will introduce our keynote speaker. All right. Again, if you're just joining us, make sure you have water, make sure you have some chocolate for a little bit later on. And also, we have put in the chat a note page that you can feel free to print out if you like, as you go along with this conversation. All right. So, Jenna Zaffino. Jenna is a Chicago-based powerhouse entrepreneur, movement educator, speaker, and coach. She currently serves as COO of Spark This Day, a digital wellness experience that ignites employees' personalized path to well-being. As a seasoned Pilates teacher educator, a small business coach, and a certified health coach through Institute of Integrative Nutrition, Jenna has helped thousands of fitness and wellness professionals access mindset shifts, physical resiliency, and empowered individuality for their professional practices. When she's not motivating the masses from her Chicago North Center studio space, Jenna can be found creating movement mischief with her husband, Josh, son, Jackson, and their dog, Flashlight. A warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, if I could change the camera, Flashlight is currently having what looks like a bad dream, but hopefully by the end of this talk, he will be in a deep slumber and we will all feel a little higher on the scale of wellness. So thank you so much for having me. You're going to hear some city sounds, as is the time for the commute. So you might hear a train here or there, a Metra, an L, but it's all part of the ambiance. And the rule of thumb for anyone who's familiar with my talks is that when you hear a train, it's a cue for a deep cleansing breath. And that's how we manage our nerves. So I am here to speak to you about strategies to address stress and burnout in the workplace. And because we're here on a wellness journey with each other, we are coming into a forum that the expectation is we all have some idea of what wellness is. It might differ from one person to the next, but no one is really confused about the elements that go towards supporting a life that's deemed well, full of well-being, and in some cases has the health title on top of it. But the issue is that when we're faced with a paradigm that has heightened stress levels, heightened workloads, heightened life agenda, and overall just a sense of like being on that hamster wheel, putting wellness on top of those things is not only a heavy lift, but it also is often much less effective than when we do it from a space where we've taken a moment, reclaimed time for ourselves, and created some level of life that allows for self-attendance to our own needs. And so today, I'm going to share 3 strategies that are relatively simple. The biggest act of effort is going to be on your part, and that is for you to become convicted and committed. And even if it doesn't seem like it's possible just yet, as a mom of a very active 8-year-old, some days it just doesn't feel possible, but conviction, commitment, and just the belief that it's possible to claim some time for you and to support yourself in these ways are going to serve as the foundation for what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn these 3 strategies, and then we're going to put them into play with some brief movement. It won't be anything too technical, and hopefully it'll lift you up, because I think we all love that at the beginning of a conference. But the first one we're going to start with is stress. At Spark This Day, we work in the realm of stress management, and much of that aspect is realized through using the stress cycle as kind of a metaphor for the way we look at how people are dealing with stress in their lives, and also the way in which we look at how our classes and meditations, our mindfulness practices, and our habit building practices address the stress cycle. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the stress cycle, it's been kind of repopularized through a book called Burnout, Unlocking the Stress Cycle, which was written by Amelia and Emily Nagoski. And it starts with a stressor, a stimulus, something that sets you off, something that ignites or activates you. It's then followed usually by a physiological or psychological response. For some of you, it might feel like heat, butterflies, anger, tingling, all of these little spine prickly feelings that we receive when we've been interacted with a stressor. From there, ideally, we find ourselves in reconciliation. So we've got the stimulus, we've got activated arousal where all these chemicals are going on. And then ideally, and I'm going to say that again, ideally we have reconciliation. We have a recalibration, a reset to the nervous system. The problem is when we're working in a heightened arena of stress and overwhelm and agenda items, sometimes the stressors and the stimuli are coming too fast for us to consistently reconcile. And so you might be in an activated state of arousal from one stimuli only to be hit with another one, which piggybacks on top of that first one, and so on and so forth. And then your regular programming becomes activated arousal. How many of you, I know you've got screensavers on and all of that, but raise your hand and I'll feel it energetically. How many of you have been in that space where the hits keep on coming and it just ends up in a crash at the end of the day? Yeah, absolutely. I see you. We're all in any entrepreneurial space. This is like the condition that we get very used to, but hopefully we'll learn a little bit of how to navigate through that. So our focus is best served not on eliminating the stressors. They're going to keep coming. In some cases, we can set boundaries. In some cases, we can change up the way in which we're behaving with certain people, certain environments. But ideally, when we learn how to approach that level of reconciliation, we can insert behaviors that can, in the moment, bring us down a level so that we're lower in our activated arousal, or ideally regulated in our bodies before the next stressor comes our way. And these strategies are super simple and they don't cost a thing. They include crying. How many of you have had a good cry session lately? It's worth it, right? They include laughter, hysterical laughter, just letting yourself go, feeling your diaphragm move. They include moving your body. And sometimes people think it has to be a really juicy movement practice. Sometimes it's running it out, it's hitting something, it's shaking it off like a dog after it's been in a little bit of a tussle. It's physiological shifting of energy. They include breath, both active breath and a very calming breath. Hugging someone with 2 feet planted firmly on the ground, hugging someone that you care for in an affectionate way where you're giving and taking energy is another strategy that you can use. And then finally, going into something creative. If you paint, if you move, if you do, we're having some electricity. Am I still with you? Okay, good. We got a little flashing. See all that energy? It's all coming at us. So all of these strategies, crying, laughing, moving your body, breathing in a practice, hugging someone, creating something, these are all ways in which we can directly and in the moment affect our ability to complete the stress cycle. So my question for you first and foremost is, what is one resource you know you have right now that could be a very distinct go-to that you know would help you shift the energy? Let's write that down as I keep going because we're on a little agenda today. We're going to get moving. So one resource that you can use to complete the cycle. The second approach that we want to think about is the concept of repetition versus big picture goals. Chances are each one of you has a wellness goal in mind, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, health-wise in general. We all know maybe where we want to be in terms of the way that we're approaching our wellness. And those big goals are important. However, they don't necessarily do a great job at motivating us every single day. A lot of times when we're at the beginning of a program, we look out, we're like, yeah, I'm going to get there in 30 days or 6 months. By this time next year, I'm going to have that on lock. But on this day, it's about the repetition. And we always say at Spark that it is not about the setbacks. It's not avoiding the setbacks. It's about individually investing into your daily practices so that you can have a high comeback rate, because life is going to hit us all the time, right? So this repetitions versus goals is predicated on a practice of daily awareness. Where am I today? What do I need? Followed by supportive intentions. What would be helpful for me today? What kind of movement could serve me best? What kind of nourishment could serve me best? How much water do I need to drink? Do I really need that 6 cup of coffee? Oftentimes it's yes, but it's from a place of awareness, so it's okay. And then finally, after we've discovered our support, taking a minute to reflect and revise on what worked and what didn't work that day so that we're well resourced for tomorrow. These are really simple strategies, and you can do a 5-minute inventory at the beginning, middle, and the end of each day to just give yourself a heads up on what could be helpful for you. Not only do you reiterate what is important to you for your support systems throughout the day, but it helps you clarify what you might ask of from others in terms of setting boundaries or asking for help. So I'd love for you to take a second to think of a wellness goal that you have or a health goal that you have, something that's been looming or something that's motivating for you. And what is one simple thing you can do today to support today's step in moving towards that goal? You might find that dropping into this summit is the thing that you did today. And I'm certain with all of the wonderful resources that it's going to be a really important one. So you kind of made a big investment into the account of your own wellness. Moving on to the third tool, we want to introduce, and we're going to really move through this concept of understanding that there is a spectrum of support that exists. And even though the $1.5 trillion wellness industry wants us to think that it's extremely niche and exclusive and expensive and all of the things, it's actually quite simple. The high-level approaches to your wellness on that spectrum of support are more valuable when they meet this day. When you look at your support options from a place of nourishment, empowerment, and energy, either replenishment or usage, then you now have a lot of choices across the board. So let's just talk for a second about nourishment. These behaviors are anything within the categories of, again, movement, hydration, nutrition, connection with others, rest and sleep. Anything that helps fill that cup back up. Anything that gives you a sense of accomplishment because you know you can do it. Something that reaffirms your abilities and tells you that you're valuable in this moment. Those are nourishing behaviors, and for the sake of just taking some inventory for yourself, what's something that you know you can do on the regular when your energy is a little lower, when you need a gentler practice, something that's kind and considerate for yourself? What's something you love to do? It might be yoga or stretching. It might be mindfulness practices. It might be taking a walk outside. It's a little lower on the spectrum in terms of energy output, and the focus is on bringing more energy towards yourself. The second category is empowerment. I like to think of empowerment as the place where we remind ourselves of our strength, our fortitude, and our resolve. It's not a super high challenge, but it's one that's going to call on our ability to meet the challenge with confidence. So when it comes to movement, that might be a strength training class. When it comes to connection, it might be the ability to speak with a family member and set a boundary that you've practiced in the mirror again and again and again. With empowerment, we're often stretching our edges, we're learning new ideas, we're producing new thought patterns, and we're reaffirming our values in terms of what is meaningful to us on this day and the next. So what is one thing that you could do for yourself under the umbrella of wellness that would exhibit empowerment to you in your life? And we'll have a chance, you can think about these more, and if we meet up later, we can talk about them a little bit more in depth. The last piece is what we call in Spark, energize. This is where we take a little risk. We push the edges beyond our comfort zone. We use the energy that we've gathered. We see kind of what we're made of without beating ourselves down in the process. There's a sense of intensity. It's where we encourage the fortitude that we build in our empowerment activities. And there's oftentimes a sense of, wow, I didn't know I could do that. We surprise ourselves. So within this energized category, chances are there's something that maybe you don't need every day, but maybe it's something that's a good way to just like test the waters. Maybe it's a run instead of a walk. Maybe it's upping your hydration that day or lessening your caffeine or salt consumption. Maybe it's really staying connected to the nourishment that you're bringing into your body. What is something that you can do to energize yourself and support your wellness in the process? This spectrum of support is really what our services are predicated on within Spark This Day. We use the stress cycle to form our class method, which starts with an intention as the stressor, it's a positive stressor, moves through our activated arousal through movement, and then finally reconciles the experience with a mindfulness practice. And today, we're going to experience some different levels of that spectrum of support through movements that nourish us or intended to nourish, through movements that empower us, and finally through movements that exhibit our energy and push us to our edges. My ask is that you approach this from a place of, like I said, awareness, supportive intentions, and permission granted to revise or change or shift. We always say, take what you need and leave the rest. So with that said, I'm going to put on our music. I'll ask you to find a space that you can move in. We'll be on a mat standing throughout, and be mindful of your own experience and make it yours. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Like I said, real, no screen backgrounds here, yes? So let's begin with our feet nice and wide in a grounded stance. I'd like you to unlock your knees. I'd like you to feel your weight drop into the soles of your feet and just be here for a moment in your body, in this actual space where you are, and then in the virtual space with each other in all the squares. When you're ready, let's begin with a deep breath. We're going to reach our arms up overhead. And as you exhale, allow that exhalation to just let your energy drop down to the soles of your feet. Do that a couple more times. Big breath in. And exhale all the way down. On this next inhalation, let's return back to that idea of being intentional with our movement, and I'll ask you to set a brief intention. What would be supportive for you? Let's stand for a moment. Feel that support. I'm going to turn up the volume on my own music real quick. There we go. All right. So from here, let's take our left arm up. Take a little side bend stretch over. We're going to round our spine forward, taking your hands to your knees. Let your back stretch out. And then reach over to the other side, stretching all the way over. Come all the way up. Open your heart, lift your chest, and then let's go over to the left, reaching up and over. Bend your knees, curl your tail under, open up that back. Then reach over to the other side. Stretch all the way up, open your heart. Just a little bit more at a swifter space. Rounding forward. Again, just doing what feels good for you in this moment. Back over to the other side. Thinking about how our movements can animate our intention. So maybe your intention was to find support. One more time each side. Maybe it was just to be present with your body, to enjoy yourself, try something new. Let's start to step. We're going to reach over to the side and stretch, just bringing a little more movement in. Again, we're in an abbreviated class today, so we're going to really just allow ourselves to enjoy it. Shifting side to side, letting our spine twist. This is also a really great opportunity to just throw away anything you don't need right now. Let that baggage go. It'll come back later, I'm sure. But right now we can let it go. We can take it off of ourselves and just enjoy. Let's take our reaches down to the ground at another level. Stretching side to side. And then let's take them up to the sky, reaching nice and tall. Letting our torso stretch and move, our spines almost dance through the air. Let's take these reaches across the side again, right across your chest. Can you start to feel some ease coming in as your body warms up? Let's reach down to the ground, stretching side to side. Excellent. One more time, we're going to reach up to the high diagonal. Reach something wonderful, something beautiful, something actual, or maybe it's something that exists in your mind. Good. Let's take one more each side. We're going to open those arms out to the side. Let's round forward as we bend our knees. Just bring yourself into a small shape. And then open up your chest and bring yourself into a big shape. And again, round forward and reach. And open up and bring yourself into a large shape. One more time, finding your bearings. Open all the way up, bringing your arms down. Take a squat that works for you. Bend your knees, lower down. Come all the way up to the top. Bend your knees. Come all the way. This is your squat. It's not mine. It's a place where we're reminding ourselves of just how strong we are. And if that is not along the lines of the definition of somebody else, who cares? This is your practice. This is your time. Reach. Standing tall, owning your space. One more time. We're going to energize this squat a little bit now. Bring it down. Just pulse. Pulse. As we're pulsing, you're looking for your next edge. You're looking for that moment. It's just going to show you exactly what you're made of right here. See if you can stay with it for a little bit longer. Remember that intention. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to bring our arms all the way up to the top. Exhale, slowly let those arms drip down. Feel the power in your legs. Feel the energy through your body. Let's take one more breath like that, lifting all the way up. Bring your legs into a stance that feels supportive, wider or more narrow. I'll invite you to take your hands on your heart, maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Just feel that heart beating with energy in your chest. Feel your breath moving through your breastbone, your abdomen. Feel that response that your body has had to moving. Maybe it's surprise, maybe it's a little bit of excitement. Maybe that was enough. Focus your gaze downward or pull it inward to yourself. Let's just for a moment feel the breath moving in and out of our body. Listening to the sounds that are closest to us. Knowing that there are sounds all around us ready to distract at any given moment. They will continue to be there, but we have the opportunity to focus in right now on ourselves. You have so many moments of consideration that I've tossed your way over the past 20 minutes. What's one thing that stands out to you right now as something you can take with you? Something you can use to spark this day and the next. Think of sealing that thing in with the next breath, with a thought. You might take a chance to write it down in a moment. We'll take one more deep breath. Releasing our hands down, coming back into the space with each other. Sharing a moment of gratitude for moving with you across the country, maybe the world, I'm not certain. And thank you for moving with me in my space. And I hope that as we go into the Q&A, I will have sparked a few places of inquiry for you that we can really get into. So let's get comfortable, let's come back, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful.
Here we are.
Yes, thank you for that.
You're
For that
welcome.
space, for that opportunity. And I can share for me what I see moving forward would be placing my hand on my heart. I often do it on my wrist to check my pulse, but I can't remember the last time that I placed my hand on my chest to feel my heartbeat. So thank
So good.
yes.
So good. Thank you. Ooh, I like continuing to use no as a full sentence. That's one of my favorites. I love that.
So we want to invite anyone to share either what that one thing was that you can take with you today and tomorrow, or share a question that you might have for Jenna here today, and I will monitor the chat for this. Any questions that you have.
It's always interesting to hear about people's mindsets moving from a place of like, oh yeah, I can do something small and simple and it absolutely counts. And I can do it every day, and then it builds up the reserve and it counts more than, you know, this huge lift that sometimes is suggested, like a life overhaul. I don't have time for that. I don't know anybody in the entrepreneurial space who does. But anyone, I'd love to hear about some aha moments, personal, that came up for you when you started thinking about the areas of impact, like completing the cycle. I think we can just unmute and or chat. Is that right? Yeah.
What was powerful for me is when you spoke about the nervous system, that's completing a cycle. And, automatically, once you start to shift your thought process and then complement it with movement, that nervous system is firing on all cylinders, which then, creates this certain type of feeling for you. So when you shared that, it resonated with me, and I'm holding on to it, especially today where I'm more low energy. So once we just did that activity, like now I feel rejuvenated for my facilitation. So wanted to honor you for that as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's important to remember too that like that whole keep calm and carry on is kind of not applicable to every single nervous system in every single situation. So when we're activated, we can feel like there's pressure to like not be activated or hide it or stuff it down, which only leads to more piling on top. So like shaking it out and doing some movement, being really powerful in your movement and being calm in your breathing or your focus, they all count. So I love that that resonated with you. Yeah.
Hi, Jenna. I just wanted
Hi.
to add something to, the gentleman that just spoke put it really well. But there's two aha moments for me, and that is that doesn't have to be big things, that make a difference. The smaller you bite these things off, they start to culminate into much bigger things. So they just have to be really small things that can start to make a difference into a better version of you. And then the other thing that I think is another aha moment is whenever you start movement or, an exercise program, whatever it is, you always think it's a physical thing. But what I find with myself and with just about everybody is it actually becomes the mental thing. Moving that body becomes the mental de-stressor. So it becomes so much less about physical activity and so much more about your mental health. So
100%.
those are two big aha moments for me.
Wonderful. Yeah, I have a life mission to flip-flop the value system towards exercising for things like mood boosting and energetic shifts and lymphatic health and
Absolutely.
relationship with others, and get the toning, caloric, all the other stuff that makes us feel less than.
Yeah.
Get it out of here. It's going to happen when you move. Let's
Well,
focus on the
exactly.
good
I was
stuff.
just going to say that all comes with it. But if you start here, it's just a great beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Anyone
Jenna,
else? Yeah.
I was hoping you might share something small that you were doing recently that has kind of opened up this capacity for yourself. Because I think oftentimes, even thinking about the small things, it's like, yeah, I'll do it. But what for you has been that game changer lately?
So it has to do with Spark. As Melissa mentioned, I'm the COO for Spark, and part of my role is content creation and kind of directing our pathways as we move forward. So I've been writing a lot of mindful prompts and developing and remembering and resourcing all of these beautiful practices. And the other day I was like, typing in the push notification for our app and saying mindful showering, it's a thing. Feel the water on your skin and notice the smell of your soap and pretend you're taking the very first shower you've ever taken in your life. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. Yeah. Okay, I got 5 minutes to shower before I have to go to soccer practice. And then I was like, oh, wait. I need to do this, and everything that I'm offering out. If I'm walking my talk, I for all intents and purposes, I probably do more practices than the normal pedestrian just because this is my work. But it was that moment where I was like, first shower ever, even if it's going to be a short one, be here with the water, be here with the soap, be here with the experience of doing the thing that you're helping to open up and share with others. Because then you can share it with them. And that's, I think, something in our work as entrepreneurs. We're helpers, we're coaches, we're guides, and we get into these like hijacked processes where we're giving it all and it feels really good to give it. But we have to remember that it's okay for us to receive in it as well. It's okay for us to be there feeling and growing along with our clients. Their perfectionism is not the expectation in any of the roles I think we take on. So permission to be kind of messy with it and in the moment with it and claim it when it's right in front of you, just not letting that moment pass you by. I think that's been really, again, as a parent too, it's like sometimes you just gotta snatch it before you miss it. So it's like, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even your reminder about when the train goes by to take a breath. I then recognize 3 or 4 trains going by, and each time I was intentional about my breathing, which is something that we're all experiencing, especially during summertime, right? There was construction happening. Now in the wintertime, there will be, in the fall and winter, there will be other outdoor noises that we can either allow to bother us or to just recognize, like you said, noises that are close to you and maybe those concentric circles, right? Noises that might be a little bit farther in a cubicle next to you or outdoors beyond your reach or your vision, that then you can make an intentional moment to pause and focus on your breath. I love that.
That I would love to claim that I came up with that, but as a perfectionist in recovery for quite some time now, I used to pause everything and wait for it to go by. And then I had this moment with a podcast that I do, that I just said, I'm not editing myself anymore, and we're just going to breathe in and out. And the amount of response that I had back to saying, like, we love the train breaths, was overwhelming. And just like, they gave it to me. They were saying, yeah, we need it. And it was me. I was holding back that moment based on trying to make it all perfect, And so it was a good reminder to just embrace what's happening in the messiness of it. And, you never know what can come out of it or who needs that moment that you can offer to them.
Most definitely. I see one more question in the chat. I want to make healthier choices for my life, but every time I start, other obligations pull my focus, my family, my work. What strategies do you recommend?
Yeah, so I think that part of it is the willingness to get a little scrappy and also to let it be ridiculously messy and imperfect. So I think I feel very similar in many ways of things that pull my attention that I want to be giving more to. And the reality is that I can't do it all. We can't do it all. But when it comes to our basic needs, we're teaching our family and the people around us, our coworkers and our neighbors, our community. We're teaching our community about our needs when we claim them for ourselves. So there's this hump to get over of selfishness or of saying no to someone else. But we always say, in fact, we're running a Say No challenge this month in Spark, and we're talking about, like, when you're saying yes to everybody else but yourself, then you're sending a message back to yourself that you are a no. And if we could flip that around and say, what would I be saying? What am I accepting as mine that is maybe standing in the way of giving myself 20 minutes? A lot of us won't engage into the 20 minutes because we don't think it's there for us, when what actually happens is we don't ask for it. And I've learned this through my family. Even in the moment of like a heightened active arousal state, I'll say, I need a minute to shift. I need to take a walk. I need to go breathe. I need something else right now. Those 2 words, I need, like, I need the hand dryer to stop right now. But those 2 words, I need, they are a battle cry for the way that you meet your own needs, and people will start to notice when you get those reps in. So I would say start really small with something that feels simple and easy. If it's getting up a couple minutes early to have your coffee or your morning drink by yourself, do that. If it's taking an extra long break at work, 5 minutes extra, 10 minutes extra to be outside to go get some fresh air, do that. It's just being outside without locomoting from one place to the other, do that. If you're in the car drop-off line, pull the windows down, look at the trees, do things that are in the moment nourishing, and you'll start to build up the reserves to then ask for more.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we are going to remember that at the end of our summit, to conclude, we'll be able to connect with our wellness thought leaders. So if you are interested in bringing Spark This Day to your company, your organization, or for yourself, make sure that you connect with Jenna or with Gabby here today, the founder of Spark This Day. Thank you both for being here. And also, we look forward to chatting with you during the networking session at the end of today. From 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time, we will be moving into the body wellness tools, which will be presented by our speakers, Amy Goober, action coach, giving companies and individuals tools and strategies to improve and maintain their health while working from home. Beth Auguste, the founder of Be Well with Beth, who will talk about one simple thing to slay stress. And Lauren Fonville, the founder of Mind Shift with Lauren, who will be teaching us about EFT, emotional freedom technique. So this is our time for our bio break. Do what you need to do. Don't do what you don't. We will see you back in 10 minutes. And if you are able to join us then, fantastic. If you need to bow out for a meal or whatever you need to do, take care of yourself and come back when you can. And we look forward to seeing you. So I will set a timer for 10 minutes. And thank you again, Spark This Day, for this wonderful start to our 2022 Employee Wellness Summit. Take good care.